There are at least 3 completely different alarm systems wired into your skull, and until right now nobody's ever told you there's more than one. Maybe yours feels like a tight band pulled across your forehead. Maybe it pounds in time with your own heartbeat. Maybe it's bad enough that some small part of you wondered if it was something worse. Whichever one you get, chances are you filed it under the exact same word, headache, like it's just a different volume of the same problem. It's not. Here's the misconception, that a headache is basically your brain hurting, a bit of internal soreness like a bruise on the inside. It isn't. Your brain is hiding a secret nobody warns you about, and the real reason your head hurts is stranger than that. Your brain tissue itself has no pain receptors at all. Surgeons can touch it directly while someone's awake in surgery, and that person feels nothing. What you actually feel is everything wrapped around it, the outer membrane, the blood vessels, even the thin inner lining, which researchers only recently discovered is sensitive too. Your brain is the one room in the whole building with no sensors installed. Every headache you've ever had was tripped by something standing guard outside a room that can't feel a thing. Most of the time, that something else is refreshingly ordinary. The current best explanation is that the muscles around your scalp, neck and shoulders develop small, specific sensitized knots, not just generally tight, tender at precise points, releasing their own local chemical irritants right there in the muscle. That's a tension headache, a false alarm tripped by a guard that's been clenched too long, not an actual security breach. If that sounds familiar, we've been here before. In the tech neck video, we found the nerve pathways running through your neck get compressed under sustained forward posture, and that wiring feeds into this exact same alarm network. Different trigger, shared cabling. Your neck and your head are far more connected than either of them let on. In one study of people with migraine specifically, over half showed signs of exactly this kind of crossover, and it turned up even more often in the people whose migraines had become chronic. Migraine is a different animal, and a considerably louder one. Researchers believe that somewhere in that same wiring, the trigeminal nerve, the main cable running to your face and skull, something sets off the siren chemical CGRP. It's released directly into the blood vessels wrapping your brain, and it does 2 things at once. It makes those vessels swell, and it re-triggers the very wire that you just fired it. That's a feedback loop, not a single spark, which is part of why a migraine builds and drags rather than simply striking and fading. For roughly a third of people who get migraines, there's an extra layer first, a slow wave of electrical quiet sweeping across the brain surface, like a rolling blackout moving floor by floor. That's the aura, the shimmering lights or blind spots some people get, minutes before the pain even starts. Catching that chemical spike directly in a blood sample has proven surprisingly inconsistent. Some studies find it, some don't, so we'll leave that one unresolved, but we know the overall feedback loop is real for a much more concrete reason. Drugs that specifically block that one chemical measurably cut how often migraines happen. Not a theory holding up in a lab, but thousands of real patients in real trials having fewer attacks because a single chemical got switched off. None of that is within your control day to day. A few other things get blamed that supposedly are, and they don't hold up nearly as well as people think. Dehydration is the big one, and when researchers actually ran the experiment, people who drank more water did feel subjectively better, but didn't end up having fewer headache days. Hormones get blamed too. The drop in estrogen right before your period is the leading theory for menstrual migraine, and it might well be right, but the most recent review of the evidence found it's still not proven, and genetics plays a real measurable role. Twin studies put it at roughly a third to half of your overall risk, and that genetic effect measures noticeably stronger in women than in men, but still leaves the majority of that risk for anyone down to triggers you can actually influence. So, false alarm, real breach, or something else entirely. There's a third tier, and it's the one that actually matters for your safety. A genuine lockdown, the kind of headache that shouldn't just wait out. Doctors watch for a short list of signals. Pain that goes from 0 to the worst of your life in under a minute. Fever together with a stiff neck, slurred speech, or sudden weakness down one side. a first severe headache after 65, one that starts right after a knock on the head. None of that is meant to alarm you. Most headaches, even the bad ones, are just your guard or your trigeminal nerve doing their usual unpleasant job. But if you ever tick one of those boxes, that's not a wait and see headache. That's not a video telling you what it is. That's a call to a doctor today. Your brain still can't feel a single thing, but everything wrapped around it has been quietly signaling you your entire life. You just never had the wiring diagram before now. So next time your head starts pounding, you're not just in pain, you're receiving a specific signal from a specific system telling you something specific about what's actually happening in there. If this helped you tell your headaches apart, subscribe, and I'll see you in 2 weeks.